Earth, right? In ground, there's so many spaces. There's more ground, they can absorb more heat. And when we go up, there's less space, they can absorb the heat. So they cannot really...
There's more space up.
No. I'm talking about the surface.
Space, that's why it's called space.
No, I'm talking about the surface. You know, if you, how do you say, the space of the...
She means it's folded like...
Yeah, so we are on top of here. So obviously they have a less land, Earth.
Now some might belong also to the atmosphere, you know.
Yeah. So my question is...
They stand up here.
Meaning, if you go closer to the sun, it's supposed to get hotter. I mean, colder.
Yeah, if you go quite close, yeah, it will be quite hot. Yeah.
But it shouldn't be.
You have to go very close. Long way.
It's already done. No, it's already done. Wait. Come on.
I go for some other beer. Smell a little bit.
With my...
Oh, the big smell. Even if I'm a smell.
How did you do that? It's really impressive.
He made his recognition.
Remember,
It counts the amount of teeth. Yeah.
So it's not the teeth, it's not the white stuff, it's something
No,
else.
it's
Yeah,
the
it's
shape.
about white
Hang on,
teeth.
let me do this.
He made recognition. It doesn't recognize you.
Doesn't recognize me, huh?
But now it does.
Weird. But this is a very interesting question, right? How do you tell the difference between a real smile and a fake smile? So, assuming politicians smile all the time, right? You know, a diplomat. You know, how do you know the difference between a real smile and a fake smile? Who's got the answer to that?
Eyes.
What about the eyes?
You can take the fake smile, you know, real smile.
Eyes cold. No, eyes, not eyes.
Yeah, eyes, EY, yes, yeah. How do you tell the difference?
No, you can tell
Who wants to answer Vin's question?
Because no one wants to answer my question.
What is the answer you have?
I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the difference, right, between a real smile and fake smile is, if it's a real smile, there's
No. If it's a politician, it's fake.
No. Hey.
Else, it's
No,
real.
if it's a real smile, then you'll find a wrinkle below the eye on the person's mouth. If there is no wrinkle below the eye, it's a fake smile.
Not right. Avocado is the Botox in face.
I mean, you know, assuming there is no...